What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully I beat the delay this time. Let's talk about the 25th Amendment. Let's talk about Nancy Pelosi. Let's talk about her announcement. And, 25 days before the election. And here we are again. You know what I mean? We're right back where we started. In fact, Mike Pence reminded us right where we started in the debate the other night. So we're going to start this video off with a clip of Mike Pence in the debate talking about the situation we find ourselves in today.
I think that movement of Americans has only grown stronger in the last 4 years. When you talk about accepting the outcome of the election, I must tell you, Senator, your party has spent the last 3.5 years trying to overturn the results of the last election. It's amazing. When Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, the FBI actually spied on President Trump and my campaign. I mean, there were documents released this week that the CIA actually made a referral to the FBI documenting that those allegations were coming from the Hillary Clinton campaign. And of course, we've all seen the avalanche, what you put the country through for the better part of 3 years until it was found that there was no obstruction, no collusion, case closed. And then, Senator Harris, you and your colleagues in the Congress tried to impeach the President of the United States over a phone call. And now Hillary Clinton has actually said to Joe Biden that in her words, under no circumstances should he concede the election. So let me just say, I think we're going to win this election. President Trump and I are fighting every day in courthouses to prevent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris from changing the rules and creating this universal mail-in voting that will create a massive opportunity for voter fraud. And we have a free and fair election. We know we're going to have confidence in it. And I believe in all my heart that President Donald Trump's going to be reelected for 4 more years.
Okay, so obviously we didn't need all of that clip, but I'd like to give full context so no one says I'm manipulating the words. The real meat of that goes to the idea of the Democrats have been trying to, fight the results of the last election, for the last 3 years. And that is true. And, it's not helping this contentious situation we have currently when you have both the president doing his thing with, putting doubt on, the mail-in ballots. Then you have his refusal to concede to a peaceful transfer of power. And then you have the Democrats on the flip side, kind of going with the, they aggressively pursuing impeachment. They can't find what they're looking for. They have this nice media cover. And this whole thing is just getting out of control. And it's like, I thought you were supposed to win votes. Like, I thought you were supposed to present ideas, make people want to vote for you. Like, voting against someone is what we have to do, apparently. But that's not really the idea of what our democracy is supposed to be. We're supposed to be, like, going for the guy who or gal who has the best policies for us. And Nancy Pelosi today or yesterday continued to feed into this narrative by announcing that she's going to be teaming up with Jamie Rankin to pursue this new bill. Here's the thing. Not even a new bill. This actually goes back to 2017. In 2017, Jamie Rankin proposed this whole legislation. But let me give you the full context. Going back to yesterday, I got an article. It's just got a couple of quotes, really. But basically, the Democrats in the Congress have announced a plan to create a commission to review whether Donald Trump is capable of carrying out his presidential duties or should face removal from office. Okay, I feel like we have a lot of that. I feel like we have a lot of opportunity for a candidate to be, someone who's in office, a president, to be removed. But, like I said, Rankin proposed in 2017 legislation to have a person removed based on their mental fitness. And then he actually proposed this counsel even then. In a zigzagging interview on the Fox Business Channel on Thursday, in his first instance being hospitalized, Trump boasted, "I'm back because I'm a perfect physical specimen. I'm extremely young, and I'm so lucky in that way," which obviously is ridiculous because Trump is not young. But the irony, of course, is that Nancy Pelosi, who is, spearheading this thing, older than Trump. The plan isn't for the president to say he's a perfect physical specimen. I can agree with that. And young, he said he was young. Trump is, shall we say, in an altered state right now, and the disassociation from reality would be funny if it weren't so deadly. Trump, of course, responded back, "Crazy Nancy is the one who should be under observation. They don't call her crazy for nothing." Her office followed up with an announcement that Pelosi with Congressman Jamie Rankin of Maryland will hold a press conference at 10:15 on Friday to discuss introduction of the Commission on Presidential Capacity to Discharge the Powers and Duties of Office Act. So let's let Nancy give us the rundown. This is her quote from the podium yesterday.
I don't know what the prospects are when we hear people saying I'm young and I'm a perfect specimen. Come here tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the 25th Amendment, but not to take attention away from the subject we have now.
Do you think it's time to invoke the 25th Amendment?
I'll talk to you about that tomorrow. I'm not talking about it today except to tell you, if you want to talk about that, we'll see you tomorrow.
The president is firing back, tweeting, quote, "Crazy Nancy is the one who should be under observation. They don't call her crazy for nothing." Oh, gosh, is this like a...
So she says, of course, this is not about President Trump. This is just something that should exist. Aren't they supposed to be working on stimulus checks and like getting relief to people? Like, why are they talking about this right now? Like, we have an election in a couple of weeks. You could just win the presidency outright. You know what I mean? Like, Joe Biden is winning by a considerable margin at this particular point. I think just yesterday they posted they now have pretty much confirmation that he can win the Electoral College. So that shouldn't be an issue. Of course, the concern of the possibility of Trump not conceding or him saying, him continuing to say that, mail-in ballots are not legitimate, or whether or not ballots come in time. So there's questions still, but I think there are less of those extremist people who are willing to go out and do something crazy than, the media would like to really portray. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but there was a story, I think yesterday or the day before, where some right-wing extremists decided to have this plot to kidnap what's that lady in Michigan's name? Megan Whitmer. They wanted to kidnap Megan, grab her from her house, put her on trial, and that would have been crazy. But there are a lot less of those people than we think. Now, not to say that you don't need a lot of those people to do something crazy. It only takes one or two. But for the most part, when it comes to peaceful transition of power, if things were to get out of control, which, I think in some places there's definitely going to be people taking to the streets, whether Trump wins or loses, someone's going to be unhappy. I think that once the National Guard is called in, things will kind of get moving swiftly. And again, if we go to Trump losing, I imagine the Republicans looking to save face aren't going to try to stand by him. There will be that, okay, we're in the lame duck session. We're just going to kind of ignore Trump. We're going to start to do what actually makes sense, regardless of where it puts us in his favor. So I'm not as concerned about that as maybe other people would be. But they don't call her crazy for nothing. Who is they? Yeah, I don't know. He says things, right? But yeah, clearly Trump is out there. He's clearly just saying things. His last couple of interviews, let me see if I can find the quotes, because he did say some pretty wild things. Give me 1 second. I had them written down. Just rolling over my notes. Hold on, let me see. What did he say? So he said a couple of pretty outlandish things in his Fox News interview. Well, one of the big things is that I've already got the disease, or it's passing through, and I'm feeling pretty good. I didn't have to be hospitalized. They wanted me to come in, but I didn't think it was necessary. I probably would have just recovered by myself. I don't know about that. And then he said, now that I've had it, I'm probably going to be immune, which, I mean, we all know that that's not really true. There's definitely been evidence that someone can be reinfected with this particular virus. So saying things, yes, but that's Trump. That's what he has always done. We know that he has always downplayed this. We know that that's always been a problem. And again, the measures that they're trying to take right now, not new measures. They just failed impeachment. So they were pursuing impeachment at the time. So they ignored this legislation. So now they're like, all right, look, just in case, let's get our insurance plan ready. So let me pull up this bill, or at least let me give you the summary of what the current bill is. And like I said, we're going to go back to when this thing originally came out in 2017. Yes, buddy.
I'm done with my work for today.
Thank you, son. Appreciate it. Love you.
Have a nice video soon.
Appreciate it.
Hello, everybody.
My son says hello, everybody. Give me 1 second. You got me all flustered. Wait a minute. Where the hell is it? No. What am I looking for? Oh, here's his 1 hour interview. He also said he mused that he could have contracted the virus from a reception he held for military families at the White House. They want to hug me and they want to kiss me, he said, and they do. And frankly, I'm not telling them to back up. Like, bro, you're the president. I'm gonna need you not to be hugging random strangers. Like, you got to be smarter than that. Reacting to. Oh, yeah, this was the thing. Reacting to Wednesday's vice presidential debate, he called Democratic Senator Kamala Harris a communist and a monster who wants to open up the borders to allow killers and murderers and rapists to pour into our country. 1 second. Earlier Wednesday, the president tweeted a video of himself describing his contraction of the virus as a blessing from God. So, yeah, definitely been saying some erratic things. Dude's wild. I mean, he been doing that since the beginning, though. Like, he's always been out there. Maybe y'all should have beat him in 2016. I'm just saying, like, that was an option too. We could have just beat him, beat him legitimately. Run a better candidate, get somebody people actually like. Put up some policies that people are interested in. Matter of fact, you could have ran on that UBI you were thinking about doing, but Hillary apparently abandoned. He's such an idiot. He is not smart enough for the job. Yeah, then you should feel even worse losing to him. You know what I mean? I would feel worse if I ran a multi-million-dollar What did they spend on Hillary Clinton? 200, 300, 400 million? Hundreds of millions of dollars on Hillary Clinton to lose to Donald Trump. And what did he spend? Like $7 million, something ridiculous? And then a whole bunch of earned media? Pathetic. So here we go. Because I couldn't find this bill, so I started searching for Jamie Rankin. July 3rd, 2017. House Democrats are on a mission to educate the American people about a little-known power of the 25th Amendment, the ousting of the president. Led by freshman Representative Jamie Rankin of Maryland, a group of growing Democratic co-signers has put forth a bill that could force President Trump from office if he were found mentally or physically unfit. Although it was introduced in April, the bill has gained steam in the past week as Trump's tweet storms have grown in ferocity. So what did Trump tweet in 2017 that was so alarming that they picked up steam on this bill, but then totally forgot about it until impeachment? Well, let's see the video that Trump tweeted.
We personal at seconds of presidential political theater sent to tens of millions from the official U.S. government Twitter account and his personal @RealDonaldTrump feed. A provocative takedown depicting the president tackling CNN, ratcheting up his run-ins with the media.
The fake media is trying to silence us.
But the president's tweet contains its own fakery. The video was already on the internet. That CNN logo added to this 2007 pretend fight between businessman Donald Trump and wrestling empire CEO Vince McMahon.
Donald Trump is...
Can I just say, the fact that this commentator said that this video contained fakery, are they suggesting that people thought when they saw this video that Donald Trump was literally fighting a logo with arms and legs in a wrestling ring? Because that is the only reason that they would need to make that point. That was not necessary. This is absolutely absurd.
In a world he is not familiar with. This is not real estate.
The White House Homeland Security advisor said the president is defending himself, not inciting.
Also, don't recognize this guy at all. That's how many people have been in the Trump administration.
Violence.
I think that no one would perceive that as a threat. I hope they don't. But I do think that he's beaten up in a way on cable platforms that he has a right to respond to.
CNN responded in a statement. It is a sad day when the President of the United States encourages violence against reporters. We will keep doing our jobs. He should start doing his.
So that's where we were, right? So in 2017, Trump tweets this video. Democrats lose their mind. They're like, no, this guy's out of control. He's unhinged. He's not fit. We got to get him out of there. So let's start looking into this. So Rankin starts working on this piece of this legislation to try to get Trump removed. They proceeded with impeachment. That was a crash and burn, of course. And then you heard nothing about it. Then we had a pandemic. Then we had some divisive statements about mail-in voting and fraud and this and that and who should concede power, yada, yada, yada. And 25 days before the election, Pelosi, instead of working on stimulus talks, decides, let's go back to that old legislation. Maybe there's a way we can get him out of the office. Not that that even solves the problem, of course, because this would just make Pence president. And based on Pence's statement, I don't think that he's like definitely down to concede power regardless. Even though he's going to be the vice president, he's going to do Trump's bidding, which is why he's still around, unlike almost everybody else. But that was a big deal. So here we are, 2020. Pelosi wants to create a 16-person panel. They've updated this thing. It's a 16-person panel to review the fitness of a president, the mental or physical fitness. She talked about, when did he last test negative? Well, we got to see those results, and that's going to indicate yada, yada, yada. Like I said, I don't have that bill yet because I was not able to find it, but I was able to find the old bill, and it was a little bit different. It had a 11-person panel, pretty much same name and everything. And then the interesting thing here is it seems to state that they only need about 72 hours to make something really shake here. It says examination in Section 9. No later than 72 hours after the adoption by Congress of the concurrent resolution described in subsection A, the commission shall conduct the examination described under such subsection. In general, not later than 72 hours after completing the examination under Section 4D, and notwithstanding the HIPAA privacy regulations as defined in Section 1180B3 of the Social Security Act, the commission shall submit a report to the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the House pro tempore of the Senate describing the findings and conclusion of the examination. Consideration of any refusal by the president to undergo such examination shall be taken into consideration by the commission in reaching a conclusion in the report under subsection A. So, whatever is going to be introduced later on today or Monday or whatever is just going to be some updated version of this. It's going to have more members. Process is still the same, but really this is just an insurance policy to give them another reason to get rid of Donald Trump prior to the election. I understand the need to have like oversight and checks and balances. Like that's one of the beautiful things about our system. You know what I mean? The president doesn't really have as much power as we like to think that he does. I mean, he has power for sure, But you know what I mean? There's checks and balances. You know, we got local government, you got the governor. Like there's a lot of different bodies in charge of things in our government. So the president can't just go full dictator. But I think that in this case, this is our government not doing what they're supposed to be doing. I did an interview with Paget the other day on her Twitch channel. And one of the things that we talked about was this idea of like these, like everyone thinks I'm a cynic, right? I'm so cynical. I don't believe anything. Well, this is why. If the Democrats really cared about people more than the president, more than the Republicans, why isn't all of their effort on that? Like, do the stimulus talks. Talk about health care. Talk about getting people back to work. Talk about, you know, we keep talking about this Green New Deal. You don't ever hear me talk about Green New Deal. I never talk about that. I never talk about environmental issues. I don't talk about climate change because those things are attached to people, right? And a few months ago, what was it, February, March, Joe Biden got up in front of a crowd and he said, coal miners can learn the code. We know that's an absurd statement. One of the reasons that Andrew Yang was so beloved by many is he understood that that statement is just ridiculous, illogical. It makes no sense. It's something you should never really say. It's irresponsible. And if you're a person in government and you're saying things like that, then you can't truly be thinking about actual people. You're just thinking about this one guy who's going to be the example of the dude who did this unspeakable thing. Why aren't you fixing actual problems, the problems that you actually have the ability to have a significant impact on? Why aren't you talking about, you know, like, I mean, any one of the other issues I just named, like going back to environmental issues, climate change. I don't think people are married to the idea of being on having dependency on fossil fuels and things. No, people just want jobs. And in a lot of places in this country, there are only a few industries where you can get a really high paying job without, you know, an extremely high level of education. And fossil fuel industry just happens to often be one of those things. Same thing with the healthcare industry. They talk about healthcare and they want to change the system. Fine, cool. What are you going to do about the fact that the healthcare industry makes up like a significant portion of our economy? Like, is there some change that's going to happen to make that be fixed? Because we do a lot of things for show. We do a lot of this theater, as it's being called. Not enough of like substantive politics that might put your own personal job in jeopardy, Nancy Pelosi. I mean, you're 80 years old. Why are you still in office? How did you get in the position that you're in? Shouldn't your term shouldn't your career in politics come to a conclusion a lot sooner? But because of the system we have currently, you know, everything is cool with everybody until something that they don't like is happening. And that is what we're seeing right here. I have no problem with the idea that there should be oversight on the president's physical fitness or mental capabilities. Sure, that's cool. That's fine. But why now? Why would you say it's not because of President Trump and then say we need to propose that right now? That has to come up in this moment when we're in the middle of an election. Why? Why aren't we talking about stimulus talks if you're so concerned about people? This is BS. I don't like things like this because these are the things that cloud the judgment of people. These are things that are distractions, and these are things that we get caught up in, and this is why nothing really ever changes. This is why I'm cynical, because what are the Democrats actually trying to accomplish here? Do they think that they're about to actually get this legislation pushed through and then Mike Pence is going to become president? Or is this all just to maintain headlines so they can keep talking about how unfit the president is? I mean, what is this? So that's where we are. Like I said, we'll see the actual legislation come out here shortly. But, man, these people clearly don't care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care about me. They don't care about any of us. They care about power and making sure that they're able to maintain it. And they have an opportunity to do so by like giving people things that they want and earning votes. instead of worrying about this backdoor way where they're able to just remove somebody who they don't want to be in office. So, I have to vote against Democrats against my own interests. That's what I'm talking about, man. People don't understand that. Again, that's what I talked about with Paget. You know, I was like trying to explain to her. I was like, don't ever say that I'm a Trump supporter. Just because I don't support Joe Biden or just because I don't support a Democrat doesn't mean that I support the opposite. I understand that leverage is all you're ever really going to have politically. And the only way to get it is to be willing to do something that isn't in your own best interest. I don't love Donald Trump. I'm not like, oh, I got to go with that guy because no. I feel like they all kind of work. You know, the two sides of the same coin in most cases. Democrats talk a little bit of a better game. But I feel like people are actually starting to get leverage right now against the Democrats because they are so desperate. I mean, I've never seen this celebrity outpour that I'm seeing right now. I mean, I just saw some video this morning, all these celebrities doing some kind of, it was some promo where all the celebrities were naked and they're talking about if you don't fill out your mail-in ballots right, it's not going to be counted. You know, you got to make sure everything's right. It's like, y'all are really going hard because you want people to vote. But that's only if you think that they're going to vote the way you want them to vote. Because if you knew people were doing these mail-in ballots and they're going to vote for somebody else, I don't know if you'd be so thrilled about it, but they're working hard. But they're working hard on the wrong things. Fix the system. Do some term limits. Do some ranked choice voting. Figure out what jobs people are going to do when you get rid of fossil fuels. Like, start working on that. Start working on refining the education system. Like, there is plenty of legitimate things you guys should be focusing on. And once you start doing that, people will respond to you because they feel like you actually know where they are in life instead of proposing things that are only in your best interest, because we're all not senators or congressmen. You know, we don't have, you know, your health insurance plan or your travel expense reimbursement set up. Like, we don't have what you guys have. So, you know, we're living differently, but you talk to us as though you know what's best for people who don't live that way. And I think that's problematic. And I think we see that, and we see that the fact that they would even think that this is a great time to talk about this when Americans have real concerns right now is utterly ridiculous, and it's embarrassing, and they should be ashamed of themselves. So online voting is better than mail-in voting. What, you know, why aren't they talking about putting people in charge of things like this? Like, why aren't we trying to figure out a way where we can get some type of instant data from people? Like, we all got smart devices. They can, you know, make sure it's tracked to the person. You got face IDs on a lot of these phones and, you know, thumbprints. Everything is like, it's way more secure method for you to vote on your phone. I mean, obviously there's the hacking thing, but considering you can actually go back and match up everything with records and all of that, like, I feel like legitimately we could be voting on our phones in 30 days and have a far more accurate depiction of, you know, where people feel on issues. Like, I feel like we should have a say. So maybe this is a council and it's got 16 people and one of them is the American people, where we, you know, do some kind of instant polling where people can actually have some input on things. Why aren't we making people more informed? Oh, that's not important. Then we can't steal democracy. So that's all we got. I'm going to get out of here. I got some work to do. I hope you guys, you know, get some sleep. Take a break. It's been a long couple of weeks. I'll see you guys soon.